some of the market dynamics that are bolted on to this age of disruption. We all know there's transfer of power from suppliers to customers, to the end users, right? The customers have many options and put increasing and intense pressure on us manufacturers and on our distributors. We could look at the buying journey, how anywhere between 67 and 90% of a B2B buyer's decision is made before they ever what? Pick up the phone. They're finding it all online. And then compressed margins. All of this is leading to, that's something we need to work on in this industry, this partnering. We've got to get beyond selling on price. Don't get me wrong, it's hard for the distributors. They have hundreds of thousands of lines, but we must find a way to get beyond it. Man, partnering just sounds so darn easy, right? It sounds so simple. But of course, it's not. It's more complex than ever before, and we need to dive into it deeper than ever before. Making sense so far, you guys? All right, let's keep going. So let me share with you some of the numbers. Let me share with you some of the numbers from the survey itself, all right? So, again, here are the survey participants. The numbers you're about to see came from this universe of both distributors and manufacturers. Now, I think the number one overriding number, if we were to just look at one number that came out of the survey, that came out of the research, to really drive home the need to reimagine the partnerships is this. We asked the question, do you believe there's a need for manufacturers and distributors to reimagine how they can better work together and more collaboratively to develop deeper, more meaningful value propositions for the markets, the businesses, and the individuals they serve? 91% of those survey participants are telling us they feel this disruption. They feel these dynamics, and they're coming to the conclusion that we need to reimagine our partnership. We must put it at the top of our list. And the way that broke down is 87% of the distributors we surveyed believe that, 94% of manufacturers believe that. Put those two together and you get to 91%. Okay, everybody? All right, let's drill down just a little bit. So what were some of the things we heard from distributors? What were some of the things we heard from distributors as to why they believe we need to reimagine the partnerships? Well, here's one of the trending type thoughts. The old ways may have worked until this point, but the landscape is changing. We've talked about it. They will not work going forward. What we've done in the past will not work going forward. Another, the business landscape is ever changing, mainly due to technology, both in the internet world and with new products. We must reimagine our partnerships. And a third one, I don't have an answer other than to say we need to have conversations on the subject and to start the process. We need to have conversations on this reimagining and to start the process, and I would agree the survey supports that 100%. Here were 5 forces. When we asked, in 87% of distributors said there's a need to reimagine the partnership, and we looked at all the responses. There were 5 forces that came to the top relative to why they feel we need to reimagine it. We'll go through them quickly. Number one, they talked about the complexity of the relationships, right? That right now the relationships are becoming more complex than they have been in the past. There are more layers to it. There are different geographical considerations, if you will, where there's coverage, where there's not coverage. Legacy, they said. They said, Dirk, the legacy thinking is building walls around what's possible. And we've got to figure a way to break down the legacy thinking to start thinking about what's possible going forward. The third force, the role of distribution versus other channels. You know what? Some distributors are scared to death of e-commerce. Others are embracing it fully. But there's these other channels that are going to disrupt the business. We need to be looking at it. Number 4, the manufacturer's loyalty to who built their business. At times, you guys, when I was on the phone with some distributors, there was such an anger. There was such an anger because the thinking was, we helped that manufacturer build their business. We helped create them. We helped them, made them who they are. And they're no longer loyal to that. Now they're going elsewhere. And then number 5, efficiencies and planning, right? The speed of technology, the speed of information, the demands of our customers. We must move faster, we must be more efficient, and the like. All right? So that was from a distributor's perspective. Now let's look at it from a manufacturer's perspective, right? Of those 91% who believe there's a need to reimagine, what were some of the anchoring thoughts? 1, the manufacturer said to us, first is to acknowledge that the competitive landscape is changing and channels to market are evolving that threaten the model that has been so successful for years. Our model is being threatened. Another manufacturer, Dirk, in the face of increased competition from overseas and non-traditional suppliers, it's imperative we work together. There are ways to move beyond merely transactional approach to the market, but it requires creative thinking, transparency, and trust. And still another manufacturer said, the industry has to migrate to a new model. There it is again. Partnerships will have to be made, especially with constant consolidation in our industry for both distributors and manufacturers. Here are the 5 forces from all the comments we got on that survey, 5 forces that rose to the top there. Number 1, the manufacturers were telling us in that survey that we need to figure out how to make stronger commitments to each other, right? Rather than having one-off exceptions, we need to have stronger commitments to each other. They also told us that, Dirk, the path to winning is changing. We must understand the new path to winning in the marketplace, and that's what's going to define the partnerships going forward. Number 3, they said, Dirk, solutions to serving customers. You're going to hear me talk about this in a little bit. At the center of partnerships going forward has to be, at the center of it all has to be our customers. Has to be. It's not about you, it's not about your partner, it's about the customer. And they must be at the center so that we develop real solutions to serving the customer in this changing model. We talked about technology and the margin squeeze as well. There's a need to reimagine partnerships. So one more time, the number. 91% of the industry believes, because of everything we've talked about, believes that there is this need to reimagine how we partner together. Okay, everybody? Let me insert a new word. I think what we can focus in on. Our research shows that right now we are at an inflection point. The industry, our partnerships, we are at an inflection point. And what is an inflection point? An inflection point is an event that results in significant change in the progress of a company or an industry. And this turning point causes dramatic change for either the positive or for the what? Or for the negative. Everything I'm hearing, everything I'm feeling, everything we've talked about till now says, as leaders in this industry, you find yourself leading the business, leading the industry at a very important moment in time. Because we're facing this inflection point. The choices you make are going to define that turning point and dramatic change for either the positive or for the negative. You see, I believe this. I'm going to digress just for a second. I believe we have been called to lead right now. You didn't ask for it. Some of us wanted to just continue to manage the business through the end of our career, just like we've done in the past. But you find yourself at this moment in time where the partnerships need to be reimagined because we face this inflection point. You see, what I find is this: the majority obviously sense the need for change. One individual says to me, Dirk, we continue to do our job. Think about this. Dirk, we continue to do our job. We're adding value. We're working hard. We're managing our piece of the channel, and we're even going over and above and doing more. He said to me, Dirk, we have relationships up and down the channel. We're doing everything we're supposed to be doing. Then he says to me, yet something just doesn't feel right. Yet so we're doing everything the textbook tells us to be doing. Yet something just doesn't feel right. That's the definition of an inflection point. You see, we sense that this is a survival issue. Now, you guys, that's a strong word. I thought about it. I talked to Erica and the team in research at NAED. That is a strong word. Survival is a strong word. But we've concluded that, yes, we sense deep down this is a survival issue that we must address all on. We heard, Dirk, our current economic model is not sustainable to maintain the pace with companies like Amazon. We heard, Dirk, the status quo of low net returns does not allow us to invest in the organization at the desired or needed rate. Another said, Dirk, if you haven't started moving towards the needed shift, you're behind. It's a survival issue. I had to ask myself, I challenged my thinking, our thinking, and I asked, is this really a survival issue? That's strong. And I was in a room with both distributors and manufacturers, not too dissimilar from this group right now, and I asked that question. And 100% unanimously agreed this is an issue of survival. You see, this is an issue of survival. The only difference is this. There are two different scales as to how we can interpret survival. There's one side that believes it being a survival issue says we're facing Armageddon. There is a school of thought in your business, in your industry, that says this is a survival issue equal to Armageddon. There's another school of thought. We all agree that it's a survival issue, but it's the degree. And there's the other degree that says, Dirk, this isn't Armageddon. I call it, it's Main Street America. You know, think about Main Street America. You go into your local hometown. I live in Barrington, Illinois. I go into Barrington, Illinois. Main Street America is still there. Their business is still there, but there's a lot of vacancies. There's not the traffic into those stores that are left as there once was. During the Christmas holiday season, man, you know what? You could still find a parking spot on Main Street because people were at home buying what? Online. Look, the business will continue on, some say, but it'll be like Main Street America. We'll lose it steadily, slowly, over time. So how fast is the change coming? I don't have an answer. If you ask me after we're done, I'll tell you which one I believe. But this is for you to decide. This is for you and your partners. This is for you and your leadership team and your organization, I believe, to get around the table and to drill into this fast. And ask the question, how fast is this change coming? Are you of belief that it's Armageddon? Are you of the belief that where somebody says to me, Dirk, this is Armageddon, doing nothing, hoping that we can continue to go on the golf course, whatever it is, will destroy us? Do you believe it's Armageddon, where one says, Dirk, this is a matter of pure survival, and another said, Dirk, this is a tectonic change taking place. If we don't act, the gap in trust and our ability to partner is going to grow larger and larger and larger. There's no going back. Is that what you all believe? I don't know. Or you might believe, well, here's Cisco, John Chambers. I love Cisco. I love, they reinvent. They blow up their partnerships at least every 6 years. They blow them up. They said, we've been very good for each other for the last 6 years, but because of all these changes going on, we're going to blow them up and see if we're still right for each other. And then they look for new markets. I love it. I love the psychology that John Chambers had brought to it. Look what he said. He says, you're about to see a major transition where technology finally has the ease of use, the integration that can really change the way we do business. Everything from supply chain to customer interface to interacting with our peers is changing. He says if we don't disrupt ourselves, if we don't have the courage to change, if we don't change before the market forces us to, we're going to be left behind. He doesn't use the word Armageddon, but there's other quotes that I could put up there where he talks about where there's only going to be 4 of the major Silicon Valley players left in the next 10 years.